given the fatigue. Game 5, and the answer to that question coming up.
Here's what we want to do. The ball to the backcourt. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael
Jordan. This is the NBA on NBC. The 1992 NBA Finals. Tonight, Game 5 between the Chicago Bulls and the Portland Trail Blazers.
Just a short while ago, it was pouring in Portland, but that was a minor annoyance for these revved-up fans as, again, 12,884 of them will pour through the turnstiles, filling the NBA's smallest arena for the final time this season, hoping to send their Blazers to Chicago on the verge of a championship, and here they come. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and tip-off for Game 5 is minutes away. This is a peculiar 2-2 situation. The fact is the Bulls have had the lead about 75% of the time through the first 4 games. They've notched 2 easy victories, and they've lost 2 close games that they felt they had control of and should have won. If you could make the Bulls ingest truth serum, they'd all tell you they think it should have ended in a sweep. But the fact that it didn't says something about the Bulls' inability to finish off the Blazers and about the Blazers' ability to come off the deck. Portland is yet to play its best game. If they do tonight, especially with this crowd behind them, the Bulls are in big trouble. And a second straight title, once almost a foregone conclusion, would be in serious jeopardy. On the other hand, the Bulls have been resilient themselves. They haven't lost back-to-back games in over 4 months, and they haven't lost consecutive playoff games in their last 42 postseason contests. For more on the Bulls, let's go courtside to Marv, Mike, and Magic. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, and of great significance in Game 4 on Wednesday, while the Trail Blazers flourished down the stretch, the Bulls certainly had their share of problems. And what really had to grab at you was the fact that Michael Jordan looked to be on the tired side as the long grind of the playoffs caught up to Jordan.
Mark, Michael's not looking for any excuses. He certainly doesn't need any. But it's been a season filled with nagging injuries, and there are some numbers that jump out at you. The minutes in the finals have moved up over what he averaged during the course of the regular season. We associate Michael Jordan with scoring points. And when you take the quarters and break them down in the finals, these 4 games, it's gone from an 11-point first quarter average down to 4.8 in the fourth quarter, which is crunch time, and he's their go-to guy. Shooting the basketball, the first 3 quarters, he's shooting 54%, which is great. But in the fourth quarter, when the game is on the line and they give him the basketball, he's shooting just 35%. A couple other numbers jump out at you. During the regular season, Michael Jordan is the second best shot blocking guard in the NBA behind Reggie Lewis. He has no blocks in the playoff finals thus far, and his turnovers have almost doubled. So all of these things, plus chasing Clyde Drexler, have taken their toll on Michael.
And Magic, Wednesday, Portland was extremely successful in going to the smaller lineup. Can they get away with using that smaller unit for longer periods of time tonight?
Yes, they can, because that group produced, and they produced in a big way. Actually, they're the 5 best basketball players on the Portland Trail Blazers team. Normally, you would have Robinson playing power forward, but he's the center in this group. Kersey moved to the power forward spot, and then you have 3 guards, with Drexler usually playing small forward in this group. This group is a better shooting group as well as a defensive group. In the last 26 of the fourth quarter, they proved that, and they shot 60%, out-rebounded the Bulls by 6, and caused 5 turnovers with that speed and quickness on defense.
And Portland coach Rick Adelman has indicated that we will see more of that smaller unit tonight. When we come back, we'll have Game 5 as the NBA Championship Series rolls on from Portland. In Portland, the 683rd consecutive sellout. A look at the starting lineup. First for the Bulls, John Paxson and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Up front, Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. The center, Bill Cartwright. The coach of the Bulls, Phil Jackson. He played 13 years in the NBA, 11 with the New York Knicks, and this is his 3rd year as head coach of the Bulls. For the hometown Trailblazers, Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler. Open at the guard, Buck Williams and Jerome Kersey, the starting forwards. And the center is Kevin Duckworth. The Blazers, coached by Rick Adelman, an original member of the franchise, overall played 7 years in the NBA with 5 teams, including the Chicago Bulls. Now, for more on these 2 clubs, as always, we're joined on the sidelines by Ahmad Rashad. Here's Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I visited the Bulls locker room, and for the first time in this entire playoff series, it was very quiet. Michael Jordan told me that he felt like they had played themselves into a hole, but they have always played their best when their back's against the wall, and their backs are indeed against the wall. One other thing Michael told me is that he was concerned about his statistics in the 4th quarter. He had been getting tired, so one thing he's done to alleviate that problem is he has cut out his weightlifting routine the last 2 days, and boy, Marv, has that made me happy.
In effect, Ahmad's telling us that his lifting adversely affected Michael Jordan's statistics.
He's had an effect on a lot of people.
Yes.
I wonder, has it made Ahmad any bigger or any stronger?
The officials, Jess Kersey, Jake O'Donnell, and Hugh Hollins.
Need to mention that this officiating crew, 2 of these 3 officials, Jake O'Donnell and Hugh Hollins, were the officials on Game 1 when Duckworth and Buck Williams played very few minutes due to foul problems, and they mentioned it after the game that they had a concern about the foul.
And Terry Porter controls the opening tip. Here's Kersey, who came up strong on Wednesday night, giving Portland a 2-0 lead. Yes, Buck Williams felt that he was affected because of some strong statements he made about the manner in which he would play physically in this series, and he thought it cost him in terms of some early calls by Jake O'Donnell. And John Paxson has tied the game at 2. Of course, the official point of view is that it would have no effect at all.
Well, when you play only 18 minutes in the opening game of the championship series, come up with 2 rebounds and 3 points, there's frustration that sets in.
What you have to do on both sides, both teams have to adjust the way the officials are calling the game. And I thought in Game 4 that the Bulls, Scottie Pippen, did not adjust to the way the game was being called, and that's why he was in foul trouble.
Porter off the steal. And Kersey not able to hold on to that pass.
And that's the threat of Michael Jordan being in front of you on the way to the basket.
And that is a 3 for Jordan. So Michael Jordan, who hit 6 from 3-point range in game number 1, then got back to the three-pointer here on Wednesday, has just hit the three for a 5-2 Chicago lead.
I have been mentioning in the transition defense, it was Jordan back alone, and just the mere fact that he is such a terrific athlete, that he can block shots and has the great hands, forced the turnover.
Basket will not count. It is a foul on Buck Williams. Offensive foul.
Let's go back a moment ago to the defensive play by Michael Jordan. He's hustling back. He's the only bull back. It's a head fake like he's coming, and then he goes back, anticipating the passing lane. Kersey just couldn't get a handle on it.
He made a mistake. He should have jumped in the air and witnessed what Jordan was going to do, and then if Jordan committed, then pass the ball to Kersey. Michael on a turnaround jumper.
Michael Jordan extends to a 7-2 lead. Back down at the other end of the floor following that. That's a double dribble called on Terry Porter. Buck Williams, upset about that offensive foul, was in a conversation with Jake O'Donnell, who was warning him with the look, if you're not careful, I'm going to call a technical. And here it is, a technical foul called on Buck Williams.
This is the wrong referee to mess with. Jake O'Donnell will have none of this staring, none of this jawing, anything. He's going to take command of the game early and set the tone, and that's what he's doing right here.
Not to say that this is what is going on in this particular instance, but are there officials who hold grudges against players? Have you had that problem at any time?
Well, I think that if you come into a type of game and maybe some calls went against you in game 1 or 2, whatever it may be, you can't go in the paper, you can't go in saying things about the referee. You have to just forget about it and move on. And I think right now he's thinking that since he's got Jake in this game, he made that first call against him, that maybe things will go against him again tonight.
Well, in past years, if you've had problems with the same officials, coming into the game, it's in your head. There's the conversation taking place from Buck towards Jake. Jake wasn't going to have that. He immediately hits him with the technical foul to let him know that's enough, because the next time you get one, you're out of the game for the rest of the evening. But when you've had problems in past years, and supposedly there have been problems between Buck and Jake O'Donnell in past seasons, it's going to carry over naturally, that it's in the back of your mind. And as Magic said, you got to try and put all that on the shelf and move ahead with the game, but a lot of times that's easier said than done.
Well, you know, you're only hurting your team. That's the only one who's been affected by this. So if you try to get to Jake, you cannot get to Jake. Jake is going to get to you before you can get to Jake.
It's a no-win for the player.
Right.
Well, back in Game 4 against Utah, Portland was hit by 6 technical fouls. You saw the number of technicals that have been assessed against the Blazers, and they were accused of losing their cool. Here's a mismatch. Pippen trying to operate against Porter. Porter got the helm. Paxson with 3 on the shot clock. Yes. So once again, the Bulls off to the fast start. They opened up 10-0 against Portland here on Wednesday. They lead by the score of 10-2. Cartwright jumping out. Kersey. Tipped home by Kersey.
Well, 3 Bulls actually paid attention to that basketball. After the reverse spin back by Jordan, then you had Cartwright and even Grant coming over to try and get a piece.
First miss for Chicago. They hit their first 4 shots. Nice ball movement. Beautiful give and go.
That was beautiful basketball. The old give and go play pass and keep going to the basket. Got it back. Drexler got it back for the easy 2.
Chicago leading 10-6. Paxson. Rebound snatched by Buck Williams. Blazers on the move. Drexler. He turned it over.
Magic mentioned give-and-go basketball. Drexler passes and cuts hard. Michael was trying to get out of the way to avoid the collision. Instead, it's a clear path to the basket.
Jordan off the pick. Grant tried to field it and kept alive by Pippen. They double up on Pippen. Here's Pippen slicing in. Scottie Pippen very quickly on Wednesday, and then Magic, as you mentioned, was involved in foul difficulty and was taken out of it in the second half. Porter with the step. And the foul is called.
But see, Pippen's foul trouble added to the fatigue of Jordan in that game in Game 4.
The glasses knocked off by Buck, but no foul. You're allowed to touch glasses. There's no rule about fouling on somebody's glasses. And then the drive to the basket with the lefty finish. I think it's very important that Scottie Pippen is involved in this Bulls offense early, and then he must maintain his minutes on the floor, because the other effect that the fouls had last game was that Michael Jordan had to stay out there for extended period of time, and then in the end, Michael Jordan suffered because of the fatigue.
Foul was committed by Grant. Porter looking to cut the lead to 4. Game 5 of the best of 7. The series tied at 2. Game 6 in Chicago on Sunday night. If there's a Game 7, it will take place in Chicago next Wednesday, June 17th. Now Pippen posting up on Porter.
You know, the Portland Trail Blazers have changed their matchups here. They put Porter on Pippen, and Kersey is guarding Paxton. That was a good move right there by Duckworth. Power inside, get a chance to hit the three-point play.
Pippen sees the double team. You cannot let him spin baseline if the double team is coming from the middle of the floor. You have to bring him to where the double team is coming from. Duckworth came from the inside. Pippen spun baseline away from it.
And the reason for that is because Porter is not used to guarding a small forward, so he didn't know to funnel him to the middle. And that's why Pippen spun baseline and went for the dunk.
Duckworth completes the three-point play. He was fouled by Jordan. The Bulls 14. The Trailblazers 11. Cartwright getting the position, finding Jordan. Michael Jordan with his third field goal off to the fast start. He has 8 points.
A little back cut that time in the lane by Michael Jordan. Just changed the path that they thought he was going to take and reversed to the ball.
Kersey trying to set up Drexler. Duckworth with the save, but here come the Bulls. 2-on-1. Pippen is fouled by Porter. Terry Porter called for his first 6:40 remaining in the first quarter. Timeout call. Well, off the success of the Bulls the past 2 years, Phil Jackson has the best playoff winning percentage among coaches. 38-15 overall, although he was very upset following the loss to the Blazers the other night. We asked for his reaction. How did he react after the game?
I went back to my hotel room. My whole family was there. And so being a family father and 4 kids and their disappointment and patting them on the back, telling them we'll be fine. When they finally left and went back to their lodgings, I was able to sit in silence. I did something that is basically unthinkable for me because it was an early evening game, and that's watch the fourth quarter again. And after watching the fourth quarter, I sunk into a silent stupor till midnight when I went off to bed. After sleeping on it and waking up at 6 this morning and thinking about it, I thought we blew a great opportunity to win another ball game. So that's 2. We should be finished with this playoffs.
Well, those statements have fueled some fire here in the Portland area. The people are feeling that Chicago has not paid enough respect to the fact that Portland has earned those wins rather than Chicago giving them away. But I don't think Phil meant any disrespect at all. It's natural that a coach goes back and he sees games that you have within your grasp, and then when you don't execute and basically, as he said, give them away, it becomes frustrating.
Well, you know it was disrespect because when a team gets to the championship, you know that they're a very good basketball team. He was just maybe trying to say, hey, guys, we're going to not lose any more close games like this. We got to end this series.
Oh, beautiful play by Pippen, and he goes all the way and draws the foul. Drexler called for the foul, and Pippen will go back to the line.
Magic, I've seen 2 or 3 different situations where Pippen can make the pass to Michael Jordan to finish the play, but instead, I get the feeling that they're so intent on getting him off early in the game, it's like, go ahead, keep it, Scotty, when you have him here in the first quarter, because Michael's been wide open on the last 2 fast breaks.
Yes, I think they know that they need Scotty to produce big numbers tonight if they're going to win this game on the road. And they need him also on the basketball floor.
And you can see the Bulls with 15 points off turnovers here at the start. 15 of their 21. They lead 21-11, and Pippen is off to that fast start. He has 9 points. Here's Drexler, and he is hacked. So Clyde to the line. A 7-0 run by Chicago for this 10-point lead.
Now, I know it's early in the game. We're only 6 minutes into the first quarter. But just how early do you make that move to the small lineup if you start falling behind by, double-digit figures, and it was so successful in the fourth quarter? Is it too early to start going to small team against Chicago now?
Well, I think it's too early in the first quarter because right now both teams just filling each other out, trying to make the adjustments that they have been practicing yesterday on. So right now you're just going through the motions of the first quarter and trying to get people off.
Here's Paxson. Rebounded by Drexler. Buck Williams got the step. Kept home by Drexler.
Chicago felt that ball was on the rim and it should have been offensive goaltending, but the officials felt that there was space in there. It was out of the cylinder.
21-15, Chicago. 5:25 left in this opening quarter. Again, Pippen to the post-up on Porter. Oh, he went glass. Beautiful angle shot. Scottie Pippen on fire. He has 11, and that's a matchup, Magic, that is not working.
I don't understand it at all. When you got a small forward and Jerome Kersey, who has been doing a fairly good job on Scotty, why wouldn't you stay with that matchup?
Foul committed by Pippen.
The offensive goaltend that Chicago wanted, if the ball is in the cylinder or on the rim, you cannot definitely an offensive goaltend. Chicago was right.
It's a 3-point attempt. Duckworth gets to it. Had it knocked away. Another Blazer turnover. Drexler now 2 of 15 from downtown in this series. Jordan with the head fake, and Kersey protected the baseline. Here's Jordan. Kersey played him well. Kersey ripping by Pippen.
I want to mention 2 things, Magic, as to why they could have Kersey playing Michael Jordan. One is the size factor. They don't want a double team. They're trying to play him straight up. The other is that cross-matching as Grant knocks down a jumper. You people in L.A. used to cross-match. You used to put Worthy on a big guard so that he could run out and get fast breaks, and that's what Kersey just did last trip down.
Well, I like the ideal and what they're trying to do, but at the end of that, you still have Pippen to deal with, and they haven't successfully dealt with Pippen on the defensive end.
See, when Kersey ran out after Michael shot the ball, Michael was waiting for Drexler. Nobody is back to cover Kersey. As a result, there's a transition defensive problem taking place.
Paxson called for the foul, sending Porter to the line. Danny Ainge getting set to check in. And Kersey will sit down. Good start for Jerome Kersey, who finished strong the other night. 6 points, 3 of 4 from the field. Danny Ainge has been a major factor for the Blazers in their 2 victories. Bulls lead by 7. Just under 4 minutes to go in the first. Now Ainge guarding Pippen. Duckworth over to help. Shot clock at 5. Jordan will go to the foul line. Foul committed by Clyde Drexler. That is his second.
When Ainge comes in and matches up against Pippen, Chicago knows it has to take advantage. When the double team comes, it's ball reversal, and then Michael does not allow the defense to catch up. He attacks by by putting it on the floor. If you swing it, you're going to catch teams in rotations. When you're rotating on defense, it's hard to have a good base to move your feet. Jordan, putting it on the floor, takes advantage of that.
What Clyde has to do is when the ball goes away and swings away from Michael Jordan, he has to then get into the passing lane when it's coming back to him. Make Michael work for the basketball and try to deny him. That time, Michael caught it easily. Clyde was in the lane. He tried to run out at Michael, and you know Michael's first step just blew right past him.
10 points for Jordan. Bulls lead 27-18. Nice entry pass for Drexler. Well, the assist for Porter. Bulls lead by 7. Battle between Grant and Williams down low. Jordan setting up Cartwright. Yes, Bill Cartwright with his first field goal. Chicago Bulls talking about the fact that when Cliff Robinson does come on and gets matched with Cartwright, as was the case the other night, they must look for Cartwright more frequently. Here's Ainge. And kicked out by Duckworth.
Well, each team will try to find the advantage in that matchup. For Chicago, they'll try and pound it down low inside when Robinson comes on the floor and matches up. On the other end, the Blazers will try and take advantage of the fact that they don't feel Cartwright can run the floor with Robinson or play him off the dribble.
And now Robinson has checked in for the first time, and that is the matchup. Cliff Robinson guarding Bill Cartwright. Pippen trying to get it to Grant. Grant with the save, the bucket, and the foul.
And what happened on that substitution that just took place for Portland is when the ball went in, they were supposed to double team immediately. But Robinson coming in wasn't quite ready for it. You see that he gets there late. Pippen had already made his move. Fortunately, Chicago found the handle in the end.
Foul called on Robinson. We'll be right back. Danny Ainge just checked in a moment ago. Game 4 Wednesday following that flagrant foul assessed on Jerome Kersey for his push of Scott Williams. Danny Ainge was extremely upset with Kersey, and that's a subject we discussed yesterday with Jerome.
It was a very emotional moment. I didn't think it was a flagrant foul. And then Danny might have been out of his own emotions, came over and said, "We don't need a flagrant foul, at this time." And, me and myself, aggression kind of took over for the worse instead of the mind thought. And but it really got me pumped up. I mean, I guess it brought a little bit more fierceness in me, and I think it really got the whole team going. I think we really came together after that. So sometimes you can have something like that really works in the adverse way, to really get you going instead of a negative.
Well, when you're in the playoff, and especially in the championship series, emotion runs high. And so he felt like he didn't get that foul. And sometimes, instead of putting your frustration out on the Bulls, you take it out on your teammate. And that was a good push by him to say, "Hey, Danny, I needed to get this off my chest. Now I can go on and play basketball."
And Scott Williams has come on for the first time. Horace Grant missing that free throw, not able to complete the three-point play. Bulls lead by 11. 2.5 to go in the first. Drexler. That's his fourth field goal. Good start for Clyde Drexler. He has 10. Here's Pippen sweeping down, trying to feed Grant. Porter off the steal. Ainge for 3. Rebound, Robinson lost it to Grant. And Jordan now works the backcourt. Jordan tried the three-pointer. Scott Williams with the box out of Buck Williams.
What the fans can look for is that both stars will be doing a lot of shooting tonight, especially because this is the most important game.
Buck Williams with his first field goal. The Bulls lead 33-24.
That layup took place because Scott Williams is so shot block conscious right now. He left Buck just for a moment. He thought Porter was turning the corner, and Buck dove right to the opening.
Buck Williams called for the block. Scottie Pippen looking very sharp here in the first quarter. No question, has the legs, looking for the shot, very much in the offense, has 11, and he'll go to the line.
That last play, Porter starts to turn the corner. Scott Williams comes to block the shot, but he turns his head just long enough to leave Buck Williams, who finds the opening, dives. There's the pass, there's the score.
Scottie Pippen had difficulty at the foul line Wednesday, missed 2 critical free throws, 1 for 4 overall, but tonight he is 4 of 4 from the foul line.
Well, he was down on himself. He knew that he had to come back, and I wouldn't want to say redeem himself, but, you know, get his team off to a fast start. And that's what he's doing. He said, look, I played a bad game in game 4. I'm going to come ready to play and show my teammates I'm ready and lead the way.
Pippen has 13. Chicago leading by 11. Another good pass from Porter. Drexler shot off. Williams couldn't get to it. And back come the Bulls. It's a 4-on-2. Grant. It's an offensive foul. Hugh Hollins made the call. That's number 2 committed by Horace Grant.
The reason for the offensive foul is the Chicago Bulls had bad spacing. They did not spread out. They did not get out and spread out on the lanes. Everybody was too close in. 2 men could guard 4, as you can see right here. 2 men guard 4 guys because everybody's too tight together. That's what causes the offensive foul.
Cliff Levingston will replace Horace Grant. Picked up his second, sits down with 4 points. Ainge being guarded by Pippen. Drexler played by Jordan. Pick and roll for Robinson. Last touched by Robinson. So Chicago gets it back with a minute to go in this first quarter. It's been a hot shooting first quarter for the Bulls. They lead 35-24. Chicago has hit 13 of 19 from the field. Make it 14 of 20. Jordan 4 for 7. He has 12. And the Bulls with a 37-24 advantage.
But usually when the Bulls score this amount of points, 37, that means that their defense is being aggressive and they score off of that. Danny Ainge just hit the 3-point play, but their defense is good and they're scoring off the defense.
Jordan with a series of head fakes sets up Armstrong. Yes, Bulls lead 39-26. Down to 20 seconds remaining in the quarter.
And Portland will just run this one down now and wind up taking the last shot of the quarter.
Well, Clyde Drexler had other thoughts. That's not a smart play.
Rick Adelman had given the signal. He wanted the last shot. Clyde felt he had a better idea in mind. Took the shot. Ill-advised one, in my opinion.
And here's Armstrong. Robinson with the steal. And that's the end of the first quarter. The Bulls shoot 15 of 22 from the field. Michael Jordan with 12. Scottie Pippen with 13. They combined for 25 of the 39. A fast start by Chicago in Game 5 of this best of 7. At the end of 1, Chicago with the lead. An exceptional shooting first quarter. The Bulls 68%. And Portland 53%. Michael Jordan has gone all the way, as has Scottie Pippen. We talked at the start about the fact that Michael Jordan looked tired, did not score in the final 10 minutes of game number 4. And let's see how Phil Jackson plays it in terms of his substitution pattern tonight.
Well, I would imagine that Phil is going to defer to Michael and ask him how he's feeling, how his legs feel, and then probably take his advice as to when he should take his blow.
Well, he didn't practice yesterday. He had to shoot around. He probably didn't do much this morning. So this is an important game. You don't worry about minutes here because both players, Pippen and Jordan, are playing fantastic. And I don't think you want to take them out quite yet because you mess with their rhythm. They're in a good groove, a good rhythm right now.
Meanwhile, Clyde Drexler getting a rest. Second quarter is underway. B.J. Armstrong, Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Cliff Levingston working down low was fouled. Levingston up front with Pippen and Scott Williams.
Well, we've seen Michael Jordan, the scorer. We've seen Michael Jordan in transition. We've seen Michael Jordan break up a big play on the defensive end of the floor. That time they used Michael Jordan in the post as the feeder. Send that guard down low, throw it to him in the low post area, and then run your cutters to open areas once they start double teaming him.
But the Bulls are doing a fantastic job of whoever man goes to double team Michael, that man is cutting through the lane and getting free for the dish off from Michael.
And And the Bulls off to the good start at the line. They're 9 for 10 from the line. The other night, 14 of 20. They have shot very poorly right throughout this NBA Finals series. Only 66% as a team from the line.
You might sit there and wonder, well, if they're running a guy through the lane, how come they don't pick him up with another defensive man? Because what Chicago does is very similar to in football when they flood a zone, put a lot of receivers against one defensive back. They put two people in respective areas against one defender, and then he's got to make a decision. Whichever one he doesn't take, that's who they hit.
Off the steal, Jordan. Stopped by Ainge. Gives it up for Pippen. Nice pass for Livingston. The tip by Williams. And it's a loose ball foul, a climbing foul, charged to Scott Williams.
I would much rather have seen Cliff Livingston take that ball right to the rim and try to dunk the thing rather than up, bring it down low, and then try and go back up again. Here, go hard, try and dunk it, draw the contact, get to the free throw line, shoot 2 free throws.
Well, because they've been going to the line in the first quarter, so you know that you'll probably get that call.
A.J. Armstrong is committing the foul. This is the biggest lead of the game for Chicago, a margin of 15. Portland with a backcourt of Porter and Ainge, Robinson, Percy, and Duckworth up front. So Rick Adelman has not gone to that smaller unit that was so successful the other night. Duckworth is hit by Williams. A series of fouls charged to the Bulls. That's 3 successive. 13 foul for Chicago.
Down in the low post, Williams, not quite as big or as strong as Duckworth, loses his position on the move across the lane because he went underneath the screener.
Duckworth tried to go cross court. Always a dangerous pass, and he threw it away.
Well, you can see when Williams committed that foul, Michael brought all the Bulls together to tell Scott Williams, look, don't foul him. You got the double team coming, just what we just witnessed, and we'll make him pass out of the double team. And Duckworth turned it over. Good move by Michael. 2 points because he touched it on the rim.
The basket by Jordan will count. He now has 14. Timeout taken by the Blazers. Minute and a half gone by in the second quarter.
The offensive goaltending call was made not because the ball was touched, but that the backboard was hit while the ball was in contact with the backboard. Therefore, if you punch it hard enough, it could roll or make it roll off the rim. That's where the call took place.
10:35 remaining. In the first half, the Bulls with a 17-point lead. They have been going at a blistering pace, 16 of 24 from the field, 67% shooting for Chicago here in the first half. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, along with Magic Johnson and Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Portland. Game 5 of the best of 7. The series tied at 2. Drexler has returned. Open shot. Jerome Percy is hit 4 of 5. He has 8 points. The Bulls 43, the Blazers 28. And now Pippen has been guarded by Percy. Percy getting the hand on the ball in consecutive sequences. Jordan. Michael Jordan has 16, and the Bulls lead it by 17 points.
Well, every trip down the floor for the Bulls, Michael or Scottie Pippen has the basketball, and they're going to make something happen. So the fans can see this and get ready for the entire game because they're going to create offense either for themselves or for their teammates.
Bill Cartwright is back. Kevin Duckworth was called for the offensive foul. Cartwright up front with Livingston and Williams. Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt, so Scottie Pippen getting a rest. Leads with 13 points. Porter knocked it away. Gary Porter trying to shake by Armstrong. Rebounded by Drexler. And Livingston and Williams each got a piece of that shot. Armstrong lost it off his foot.
You know, what I don't see from the Portland Trail Blazers is that helter-skelter game. I don't see them running. They just got a turnover with Robinson. They didn't push the ball down. They must push it to get easy transition points.
Here's Drexler. 10 points for Clyde Drexler. He's complaining. He thought it was foul on the follow-through of that shot. Bulls by 15, and the crowd urging the Blazers on. The steal by Percy. 2-on-1. Drexler.
It's almost like Percy had a jump start Drexler to start running. Clyde didn't realize that they had come up with the basketball. When Percy bumped into him, then Clyde took off and got the score.
Last touch by Scott Williams. The Bulls feel a turn, and they decide to take a timeout.
Michael Jordan anticipates the double team, tries to split and hit to Scott Williams, but instead of his hands, it hits off his thigh and out of bounds. And then right after it, Bill Cartwright trying to feed Williams again. Instead, it winds up in Kersey's hands, who initiates the break with Clyde finishing in the end. So it's turnovers that lead to the easy scores for the Trailblazers.
3 straight turnovers by Chicago. You can see the points off turnovers certainly leading to the wins and losses in this series. And the story today, the Bulls with 19 points off 10 Portland turnovers. Chicago with 7 turnovers. 8:15 to go in the second quarter. Portland in the midst of a spurt. Down by 13. Here's Kersey. And a loose ball foul called on Drexler. That is his 3rd foul.
And one thing that Phil Jackson did was, when he took the timeout, he brought Grant back on the floor again for Chicago. The guy that's on the glass for him, the guy that will block shots for him, he's the steadying factor inside for Chicago.
And he will catch the basketball once it is thrown to him. Like Scott Williams missed those 2 balls. That's why Phil Jackson took him out.
And a decision for Rick Adelman. Do you stay with Clyde Drexler playing with the 3? Michael Jordan with 18 points. The Bulls now lead 47-32. There's Jordan hobbling back down court. Michael has had problems with an injured thigh, a bruised heel, and he's come up hobbling. Drexler. And Jordan gets to it.
He actually got hurt on the cameraman along the baseline. After the shot, he stepped on somebody's either camera or on the belt attached to the camera, and that's where he turned the ankle. And they're taking a timeout now with Jordan having the bad ankle.
As he called for the 22nd timeout, and Chicago trainer Chip Schaefer will check it out.
After he shoots it and fades to the baseline, here's where he steps on it and goes down, tangled up with the camera people along the baseline. A little better look. There it is on the right side of the screen. Jordan slipping and turning that left ankle.
All right, a look from up above, following the follow-through by Jordan, came down on the ankle and then called for the 22nd timeout, and he will sit down. Michael Jordan off to a sensational start, 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 3 from the line for 18 points. Chicago overall shooting 69% for the game, 18 for 26.
I would say that if Michael Jordan's injury is a severe one, and he cannot return and play the way we know Jordan can play, there may be a change in the future as to who's allowed to sit along the baseline.
I think so.
All right, Drexler trying to save it. He stepped out.
I think we can look for the trainer to probably do a quick tape job on him and try to get him back in to see how it feels, because you don't want to sit too long if the ankle is sprung. You want to get him back out there.
Shot clock at 3, down to 2. Cartwright. Bill Cartwright at the the 24-second buzzer, connecting on his second field goal. Bulls lead 49-32. Clyde Drexler playing with 3 fouls. Duckworth to the fake, and he drew the foul. It's on Cartwright.
Well, you know, probably Adelman was going to substitute for Drexler if Michael Jordan had been in the game. But with Michael on the bench now, Adelman feels a little bit more comfortable with having Drexler on the floor because now he doesn't have to play that, you know, superstar Michael Jordan that slash and take it to the basket guy.
And the other thing is we need to go back to game number 2 where the same thing happened. Rick Adelman was faced with similar decisions. Drexler got in early foul trouble, picked up his 3rd one quick, and Rick stayed with him, left him on the floor. He did it again when he picked up his 4th foul in the second half, left him on the floor to play.
Bill Cartwright sitting down and picking up a second. Stacey King, who did not play at all in game 4 after the strong showing down the stretch in game 3, replacing Cartwright, and John Paxson has come on for B.J. Armstrong. Danny Ainge back for Portland, so it is a backcourt of Ainge and Drexler. Duckworth up front with Williams and Kersey. Last touch. Oh, they say Portland knocked it out. Crowd wanted it. Called off Grant. Bulls lead 49-33. So the Blazers are shooting 50%, and they trail by 16 points.
Well, if you go back to game 1, they were shooting 60% and were down 15 because of Michael Jordan in the first half of game 1 with 35 points.
Cliff Livingston, the quick leaper, getting to the boards, providing a spark, giving the Bulls an 18-point lead. And apparently Michael Jordan is okay. He's getting sent to make his return. He's over at the scorer's table. Duckworth with the fake. Duckworth on the rebound, and a loose ball foul called on Chicago. Let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, that is exactly what happened. Michael stepped on one of the cameras and twisted his ankle. So he came over, and Chip Schaefer retaped the ankle. Michael said he's fine, and he's back out on the court. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, looks like Michael is favoring the ankle. He's trying to work it out as he steps onto the court.
The more that he get a chance to run up and down the basketball court, the more of a chance to get loose for him again, and he'll be back into the flow of the game. So he won't be feeling it in about 2 or 3 minutes here once he gets the adrenaline flowing and get his game back on.
Kevin Duckworth, 3 out of 4 from the line. Coming up on the Prudential halftime report, Bob Costas with a conversation with Michael Jordan that was taken shortly before tonight's game. 2-parter, Michael talking about the Bulls' inability to win games 2 and 4. Here's Stacey King. Michael will also some of his views of Clyde Drexler and his reflections on what has been at times a very difficult season. That's all coming up with Bob and Michael on the Prudential halftime report. Foul called on King, and it sends Drexler to the line.
In transition, King tries to hold up Drexler from getting out on the fast break. You can't do that.
No, he did it wrong, though. What he tried to do was he tried to hold him up, but he pushed him instead of just getting in his way. He should have just got in front of him and made Clyde go around him.
Oh, this is very special. The Magic Man giving up some of the secrets that he has never divulged before.
Some of the sneaky secrets. Bulls over the limit and put Drexler on the line. Bulls by 14. Jordan for 3. Well, Michael Jordan goes back to three-point land. That's his second 3. And the Bulls lead 54-37.
Chip Schaefer with another bonus kicking in, the trainer for Chicago.
And Pippen had it knocked away. Last touch by Drexler. Now, Michael Jordan in this series 10 for 23 from downtown. And if he's still favoring the ankle, we may see him shoot the 3 more frequently.
Well, I think what the 3 allows him to do is that when whoever's playing him, Drexler comes out at him, then he can fake and go around him. So if he got his outside jumper going, it makes his drive game that much more explosive.
Now goes to the drive and the pull-up. Look out. Again, Michael Jordan going down. in the midst of photographers, he took the official Jess Kersey with him. Michael's had a very close relationship with the photographers along the baseline.
Well, it's the fade after the shot along the baseline, and then the follow through, a little body contact, and then like the bowling pins on down into the crowd.
Foul was committed by Duckworth, his second. Jordan is 3 of 3 from the line. 21 points with just under 5 remaining. First half.
Well, right here you can see Duckworth just hits him and takes him into the crowd. Now, if you're a Chicago Bull fan, you got to like the way Michael Jordan has come out in his first half. He's looking to be aggressive. He has his outside game going, and he's attacking. And when Michael's attacking, the opposition, which is the Portland Trail Blazers, are going to have a long evening if they don't find a way to double team him.
The big move for the second half for Phil Jackson, puts somebody along the baseline. It's Michael Jordan.
Danny Ainge connecting on the three-pointer. Bulls lead 56-40. That gets the crowd going. King up front with Pippen and Grant. Paxson and Jordan at the guards. Pippen keeping it alive. 15 for Pippen.
The reason for that offensive rebound by Pippen is because Danny Ainge is playing him. He cannot guard him defensively or box him out when the shot goes up by one of Pippen's teammates.
And this is exactly what Magic is talking about. With Ainge trying to guard Pippen, Pippen is going to go strong to the offensive boards. And if it's a jumping contest, well, it really is no contest. Pippen wins out on it.
Foul committed by Horace Grant, his third, and he'll be replaced by Scott Williams. Danny Ainge to the line. Danny's long-term contract signed when he was a member of the Boston Celtics is expiring. He will be an unrestricted free agent and says he will check out the market. But he said all things being equal, he would like to stay in Portland. He has certainly helped his stock during the playoffs, although he's annoyed when people say that because he feels that he's played well when he's had the opportunity all season long. Why should a couple of games change his market value? That's a trouble called on Paxson.
Well, you got a veteran, a guy who has stepped up to the plate and delivered during the finals and in the playoffs, but also a guy who's from this area, so you almost want to keep him because of the fan appeal, because he can also, he's the only player on this team consistently that can hit from the outside.
Drexler squeezing through is held.
Stacey King.
Foul committed by King. That's a quick three on Stacey King.
Coming into this series, an area that Portland seemed to have a decided advantage against Chicago was from three-point territory. Going into this game this evening, Portland just 7 for 38, 18% from the three-point line. Chicago, well, Portland tonight 1 for 4, Chicago 2 for 3. Chicago shooting 38% from the three-point line for the series.
Drexler now with 17, put to the line by the foul on Stacey King. Stacey King, the master of impersonating voices, tells me he's working on Lazar. Hasn't quite mastered it, but he has Bill Cartwright down. If we get a chance later, we'll play you the Stacey King impersonation of Bill Cartwright. Scottie Pippen to the scoop, rebounded by Pippen. He is flying, and Drexler comes away with it. Porter with the center for Buck Williams. Terry Porter has been dishing off effectively throughout the first half.
Yes, he's really been penetrating and trying to find his teammates and not looking for his own shot.
King getting inside, a strong move, although the Blazers thought that he traveled. The Bulls lead by 15, just under 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Here's Porter, rebounded by Williams. Crowd looking for Porter to take the shot. He does. Drexler, and again, Clyde Drexler will go to the foul line. Timeout taken with 2:34 remaining in the first half. Be a future in show business for Stacey King. As we mentioned earlier, he takes great pride in his impersonations. His favorite subject, teammate Bill Cartwright. First, a sampling of Cartwright's speech pattern, followed by Stacey's work.
I'm just happy to be in a championship game for the second year.
All right, thanks, but we needed your voice sampling to compare to a Stacey King impersonation.
I'm just happy to be in a championship game for the second straight year. Did you get it?
I think he has him down. A little Louis Armstrong touch there also, but as I said, Magic, he's working on the czar. He can't seem to capture it yet.
Well, that's going to be a tough act for him to catch on to.
I'm only sorry that we did not let the Cartwright tape run a little longer when he started strangling you after you told him what you intended to do with it.
Incidentally, Bill Cartwright and Stacey King have had a long-standing kidding relationship based on a series of practical jokes at each other's expense, constantly going at each other. Bill answering back at Stacey, and has distributed a flyer that we'll get back to in a moment, advertising a special Stacey King basketball camp. Chicago by 13. 2:20 remaining, first half. And the foul on Drexler, and that is number 4 on Clyde Drexler. So Rick Adelman took the gamble, got away with it for a spell, but now Drexler has collected his 4th.
Well, it's one of those things, you develop a certain confidence in your players, understanding whether they have the ability to play with fouls or not. In game number 2, it worked twice for Rick Adelman. It backfires here because now he enters the second half with 4 personal fouls.
Well, the thing about it is he should have had Porter playing Michael and then had him on Paxson where we didn't even have to really defend a guy going to the hoop.
And remember, as Percy gets down, and that Chicago lead is down to 11. Remember in game 2, though, when Drexler went out, the Blazers able to turn it around, and with Clyde sidelined on fouls, they were able to come up with the victory. Paxson is open. John Paxson with his 3rd field goal. He has 6. The Bulls 62, the Blazers 49.
What Portland wants to do is try to get this game at 10 or really up under 10 going into halftime, and they would feel real comfortable and good about that. Turnaround jumper right there by Duckworth.
8 points for Duckworth. And Chicago leads by 11. Now Ames matched defensively against Jordan, who's working down low. Portland in the midst of a 15-6 run. And a foul is called on the Blazers.
You confront the low post, but you can't take your arms and wrap it around and hold the player down there. That's going to be a foul.
Ames called for the personal, his first. Now Portland over the limit. Michael Jordan, 6 of 6 from the line.
And see, that's what I was talking about before. If you got Ainge and you got Porter, why wasn't they on Michael Jordan instead of having Clyde Drexler on him? That way, he wouldn't be playing an active man or offensive threat. He would have been playing somebody else, and he wouldn't have picked up the 4th foul.
Of course, Paxson basically is going to slide to a spot up there. You're not trying to beat you off the dribble and create something.
Yes.
Duckworth putting the move on King, and he drew the foul. Stacey King has picked up his 4th.
Well, the one nice thing that I like to see is Duckworth scored 2 trips ago. They came right back down the floor, put it back in his hands again a second time, and now he's going to the free throw line.
Cliff Levingston will come on, probably replacing Stacey King. We mentioned the Stacey King basketball camp for right-handed players over 250 pounds that has been put together by Bill Cartwright. We should point out a fictitious basketball camp. You can learn to shoot the running and sweeping right-hand hooks. Dribbling was, this is according to Cartwright, Stacey King will demonstrate the right-handed crossover move. According to Bill Cartwright. You can marvel at the right-hand jump shot. Dr. Stacey King in a must-do camp for any basketball player over 250 pounds and right-handed.
And the reason Bill Cartwright put in there right-handed on every subject is because Stacey King is left-handed, and everybody knows he can't go to his right hand. So we want to clarify that for everybody out there.
Oh, the cruel locker room humor. 50 seconds remaining in the half. Ames delivers to Kersey. Good play by Paxson to break it up. But it will be Portland maintaining possession.
And those are some of the small skill deficiencies that you see show up with Kersey out on the break. When he has to be the feeder, not the finisher, you don't always wind up getting the basketball at the right time or place.
Well, Portland has their chance and their wish right now to cut it to 10 points, so if they can take advantage of this.
Porter through the foul. Off the pump. He had Pippen committed. That's the second for Scottie Pippen. And Porter will go to the line.
Pippen a little too anxious to try and send that one back into the backcourt on a block shot. Up in the air. Too bad. Step underneath, pick up the free throw opportunities.
Well, right here, if Porter can knock these two down, you get the game within 10. Coach Adelman has to feel good because his team hasn't really played that well yet. Chicago has played and shot the ball very well from the outside, and you know that's not going to continue. So, hey, you tell your guys, look, we're within 10. We got a real good chance to come out of this looking good. Now, if we come back in the third, fourth quarter and apply that pressure we did in Game 4, we got a chance to still win the game.
Yes, Chicago shooting 62% for the half. They lead by 10, 25 seconds remaining in the first half. Strong defensive sequence being shown by the Blazers. Shot clock at 4, and a reach-in foul is called. Portland in the midst of an 18-8 run to cut it to a 10-point lead. Chicago led by as many as 19. Michael Jordan back to the foul line. Blazers at 50% and trailing by 10 points. Jordan 7 for 7 from the line. Bobby Hansen getting set to check in. Chicago 14 of 15 from the free throw line.
And I would imagine that Hansen will replace Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson doesn't want him to pick up one more foul by accident here with just 10 seconds remaining before the half.
And here comes Hansen, who has been a contributor during this final series. He has hit a couple from three-point range. So Hansen replacing Pippen. It's been a glorious first half for Scottie. 15 points, 6 rebounds. Rare miss for the Bulls at the line. Final seconds of the half. And that is over and back. Porter went over the midcourt line and then under pressure step back. It is a backcourt violation. And the Bulls, with 3 5/10 seconds remaining in the half, get the ball back.
Hugh Hollins, the official, said that the ball was touched in the front court by Porter, and then he stepped into the backcourt after possession. Tough to tell from that angle whether or not he had already received it and then stepped over or not.
Now Craig Hodges comes on for the first time. Hodges, Armstrong, Paxson, Pippen, and Jordan. Don't run on me. So Phil Jackson has 5 shooters out there for these final seconds. And Jordan avoids Kersey, and he's fouled. Kersey in the face of Hugh Hollins. The foul committed with 1 4/10 seconds to go in the half. That's 3 on Kersey.
Well, it's one of those calls that as an official, you want to try and let it go if it doesn't have any significance, but this one is too obvious. You have to call it because the shove there throws Michael into the crowd.
Well, these two free throws will be Cliff Robinson's fault. He should have laid back in front of Michael Jordan and had a double team on him because his man Scottie Pippen was taking the ball out. Why? How can you let Michael Jordan get the basketball with 3 seconds? You know he's going to get a shot off or a foul on somebody.
And that's time, Chicago set that whole play up to isolate Michael Jordan down in that low block, then let him bust out to catch the ball if he couldn't catch a lob directly into the post. But if you have a guy in front and a guy behind, it makes it very difficult to catch it.
And Jess Kersey trying to get the clubs in the proper lineup. Paxson moving next to Jerome Kersey on the foul line lineup. 1 4/10 seconds to go in the half. Bulls by 11. And Robinson unleashes. He has Ainge. He gets it off. So that is the end of the first half here in Portland. Michael Jordan, although limping off, had a sensational first half. 27 points for Jordan. Remember, he set the NBA Finals record in Game 1 with 35. And Scottie Pippen, as you saw, also came up big with 15. Chicago by 12. When we come back, Bob will be talking with Michael Jordan on the Prudential Halftime Report.
Halftime at Memorial Coliseum in Portland. The Bulls, who had a lead of 19 at one point in the half, lead now by a dozen, 66-54. Bob Costas back at our perch along with Quinn Buckner. Now Jordan gets 27. Drexler answers with 20, but picks up his fourth foul before halftime, guarding Jordan. Should Adelman have taken Drexler off of Jordan, if not out of the game?
Well, I think that's exactly what you got to look at. You need to either get him out of the game, or you got Terry Porter or Danny Ainge, both of whom I think are capable for short periods of time of guarding Michael Jordan. But more importantly, Adelman can't be disappointed. His team is held in here after a 38-point first quarter by the Bulls. He's got to feel that coming in the second half that his team is fresher probably than are the Bulls.
Okay, we want to get in as much of this as possible. We'll show it to you in two parts. The second part after the commercial. Before the game, I sat down with Michael Jordan, and here is part one of that conversation pregame with Michael.
Do you have a feeling this thing should be over?
Yeah, I have a feeling that we really dug ourselves a hole, you know, and that's not to knock their playing ability, but we seem to be in control of both the games that we actually lost, and we just never finished. I think we got a little relaxed, a little complacent, along with their intensity defensively, and next thing you know, they turned it around.
The book on them was that they might self-destruct. If what happened to you guys happened to them in games 2 and 4, that's what people would have said, self-destruct.
Right. I think, you know, we heard and knew of the book about them self-destructing, and I guess when we went down in the final minutes, we kind of took it for granted, and they actually played extremely well down the stretch, and we were the ones who self-destructed, you know, or either relaxed or wherever we were looking.
Do you worry that you've let them get into this position? Now it's a best 2 out of 3, whereas the cliche says anything can happen. You worry that this thing might slip away?
It's a concern. You know, I wouldn't say a worry, but it's a concern that we must face and must utilize that concern to a point where we, you know, energize from it and play a lot better and play like our backs are to the wall, because, you know, any breaks that this team can get could hurt you in the long run, which, you know, they've gotten quite a few breaks up to this point. And, you know, any life in a situation like this could energize a team.
Have you got enough left to carry this team if you have to carry them?
I hope I don't have to, but I'm the type of player that I'm going to leave everything that I have on the court, and hopefully that's enough. I feel that other players on this team have a sense of pride, and hopefully that's going to be shown in the play.
You think you played too many minutes this year? Your minutes went up for the first time in 4 years. You played a lot of minutes even in games where your team was comfortably ahead. Is it catching up?
I don't think it's really my minutes. It's more or less the productivity from other players. You know, I've played heavy minutes, and I think the more productivity that we get from other players, I can get more minutes. And Phil looked at every moment possible to get me more minutes, but he felt that, you know, with my presence out there, we were really reassured of a game or winning of game because of, you know, lack of productivity from other players.
So you're saying it's not just total minutes, it's how tough those minutes are and how extreme the demands are upon you as an individual.
Right, that's true.
Do you take this thing with Clyde Drexler seriously? Does that give you a little spur? Here's the next challenger, and you got to meet him at high noon on Main Street?
That's exactly the way I take it, as a challenge. I'm a competitor, and I need something to drive me, in a sense. And every game this season, I felt that someone was trying to take something away from me personally. So that was my motivation, to step on the basketball court and compete. Right now, with all the media hype of Clyde Drexler and myself, that's the competition that I need to keep raising my game or elevating my game to the point where I don't think that I'm tired. I don't want to be tired. I want to play.
You told me earlier that the Knicks series had a lot of trash talk in it. How much in this series? What's the atmosphere on the court in this series?
It's an arrogance between both teams. Not much said, but you can feel the arrogance from both teams. Even with Clyde and the competition that he and I have, it's some compliments passed between the both of us. But it's the type of arrogance that, God, that was a great move, but I don't want to tell you that. But I got to tell you because it was a great move. That's the type of arrogance that's passed between the two teams.
How do you tell them? With a look, or do you say something?
No, I pat him on his leg or his butt, or I would say something, or he will say something to me. First game when I was shooting all those jump shots, he asked me, "Well, are you going to miss any?" I said, "I missed quite a few already. I don't want to miss any more." That's the type of conversation that he and I have, but it's a lot of respect between the both of us.
Okay, and coming up next, the second part of this conversation with Michael Jordan. The Bulls lead it 66-54 at the half, and we're back after this message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Back in Portland, where the Bulls lead the Blazers at halftime, 66-54. And let's pick up again with the second part of our conversation taped just before tonight's game with Michael Jordan.
What kind of perspective do you have now on this year with its controversies, the White House and Horace Grant, and then the book and the golf controversy and the occasional criticism mixed in along with the praise? You have a new perspective on it?
Well, I mean, if we win and when we win, it would be a pretty personal gratification year for me. It caps off that type of a year with all the adversities that I had to deal with individually and the support of my team, which really was not affected by it at all. We really contributed and played well even through all the adversities. It would be something to reminisce and yet be happy that it ended the way that we wanted to end. And from a personal gratification, it would certainly give me an uplifting confidence going into the next season.
Would it be more a relief than an exhilaration?
Certainly. That finally this tough year that I encountered is finally over, and it's over because we won a championship, and that it was one of those years that I matured and probably improved as a player. But in life, in general, I matured quite a bit, and I'm glad I went through the lesson. I'm glad it's over with. Now let's move on in my life.
Do you worry about next season? Long grind this year, then the Olympics, which is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for you. Actually, twice in a lifetime, but once as an NBA player, and then such a short break, and then right back at it again, and always as a marked man.
My concerns is for next season, but I think what's going to overcome that concern is it's an opportunity to get to know so many great athletes that I compete against all year long in a social atmosphere. That's what I treat the Olympics as. It's still going to be a vacation. I know it's very competitive and it's us against the world or whatever, but I think the talent that's on that team can relax and have a good time and still win. But mentally, I will be a little tired. Hopefully, once I sit down with Jerry Reinsdorf and the organization, that I won't be asked to come back so rapidly and so fast for next season, that I will be given some time to take my mind away from basketball and relax.
Do you ever stand outside yourself and say, whoa, how did I do that? Or, yeah, if I was up in the stands, I'd jump up on that one.
I do, but I don't do it in that atmosphere. I do it in the sense that I look at myself from a personal standpoint. Are you doing the right things? Or is everybody going to be happy with what you do? Or do you do it just because you know that's the right thing to do? Or what will your kids think in the future? Basketball-wise, I still surprise myself. Yeah, I make moves that people have to be excited about because I'm excited once I see it over again. But from a personal standpoint, I look at myself very critically.
Jordan implicitly critical of his teammates for not carrying enough of the load. Pippen had a big first quarter tonight, and even though Jordan has 27 at the half, Pippen has chipped in with 15. It's Drexler who's carrying too much of the load. He's got 20, and again, Terry Porter shut out of the offense for the Blazers. Only 3 shots and 5 points at the half. Now, you spent some time this week with Michael Jordan. Played golf with him, in fact, right?
Well, we did play golf, and what I liked about him is that he makes everybody feel so comfortable. But after we were done during the day, we watched some guys play basketball. He was very, very complimentary and thanked everyone for just being able to help him get his mind off of the game. So obviously the golf helps him get away from the game.
Okay, before we get out of here, one quick note. NBC's 3 weekends of U.S. Olympic trials coverage begins tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with Olympic berths up for grabs in boxing and women's gymnastics. 6 American women will compete in Barcelona on what could be one of the best U.S. teams in history. After Thursday's compulsory events at the trials, 15-year-old Shannon Miller was the surprise leader over all-round world champion Kim Zmeskal. Halftime in Portland, Game 5, the Bulls 66, the Trailblazers 54, and we come back after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid: the Prudential.
Back in Portland, both clubs back on the floor getting ready for the second half. The Bulls lead by 12. Michael Jordan, the story of the first half, once again 27 points, but he came up hobbling with an injured ankle off this play, landing along the baseline and twisted the ankle. For more on that, let's go to Ahmad, who is with Chicago Bulls trainer Chip Schaefer.
Having all kinds of foot problems. I'm joined now by Chip Schaefer, the trainer. And what happened to his ankle?
Well, Ahmad, he suffered a sprain to his left ankle, and right now the severity of it is kind of hard to determine because we want to keep him taped and keep the compression on it, but it seems to be a relatively mild sprain.
What kind of treatment did you give to him at halftime?
Well, we just kept him taped and really didn't do much of anything, because to untape him and then try to ice him or something, maybe we'd give it an opportunity to swell a little bit. So right now we're going to hold off until after the game to treat his ankle.
All right, thanks, Chip. Chip also has a master's in counseling, so I imagine you're using everything trying to keep this team together.
I'm trying everything I can, believe me.
All right, thanks, Chip. Back to you, Mark.
All right, Ahmad, and Mike, from the Portland point of view, how about the decision by Coach Rick Adelman to stay with Clyde Drexler while he had 3 fouls, picked up a 4th, and now that spells trouble for the second half?
Well, it's something that he had done during the course of the season. We saw him do it back in Game 2, so he believes in that type of thing. You live with your decisions. It turned out to be a bad decision. They now have to play the next half with Drexler having 4, and he had a terrific first half, 20 points, 6 rebounds, shot 50% from the floor. It would be a monumental loss if he goes out and gets his 5th one early here.
All right, and Magic Chicago has done it with the usual combination, although Scottie Pippen throughout the playoffs has been up and down, but tonight they have received the effort from both Jordan and Pippen.
In big games, your superstars must produce. Pippen and Jordan have produced so far, and that's why they have the lead at halftime.
All right, terrific shooting first half for both ball clubs as we check out tonight's Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics. The Bulls 24 for 39 for 62%, led by Jordan, 8 of 13 for his 27. And the Blazers also on fire. Portland with a terrific shooting first half. 12,888. 682nd consecutive sellout in Portland. Michael Jordan with 27, Scottie Pippen with 15, and Portland led by Clyde Drexler with 20, and Jerome Kersey with 10, and Clyde Drexler, despite the 4 fouls, will start the third quarter. What's your reaction to that?
I think you have to start him, even though he has the 4 fouls. You're down now 12. If you leave him on the bench, you go down 22. Then what do you say to yourself? You give it a shot. You're in it to win the championship. You hope he plays smart, and you put him on someone that you hope he will not have the same problems guarding. He's on Paxson as much as possible.
Well, he had a switch off to Jordan, who opens up by hitting the jumper.
Well, see, he started on Jordan. I don't understand this, because if he don't pressure him, and if he play back off of him, he's going to score. And if you play up on him, he's going to make him try to foul him. So that causes 5 fouls. So I don't understand the matchup, because he cannot guard him aggressively enough to help the Portland Trailblazers.
Jordan called for the foul. That is his second, of the crowd reacting to Jordan's displeasure concerning that call. Rick Adelman opening with Duckworth, Williams, Kersey up front, Drexler, Porter at the guards. Here's Kersey, and it's rebounded by Pippen. Pippen, Grant, and Cartwright on the front line. Jordan and Paxson in the backcourt, and the Bulls Bulls hit their first 2 shots, both from the right-hand corner.
If the fans could witness when they go down into Duckworth, the difference between the Bulls and the Portland Trail Blazers is everybody's cutting when their man is being double-teamed. But when Duckworth is being double-teamed, they have no cutters, no ball cutters, and that's why he's having a struggle out of the double-team. Here's a breakaway for Pippen and slam dunks.
And that breakaway set up by the block shot of Horace Grant, who has been all over the boards. A 6-0 start for the Bulls, leading to the 22nd timeout call by the Blazers.
Portland very upset. They felt that there should have been a foul call down low inside. Clyde's upset. The bench is upset. Adelman's upset. All it does is nothing at all to help you in the game. And then the result, long pass down the floor. Pippen with the finish.
Well, all their players have been drawn with the referees all in the first half, and they're continuing it now here in the third quarter because frustration is setting in, and what you must do is just leave the referees alone. They are not going to do anything by arguing back and forth with Jake and the guys because they're going to lose out.
And now they've changed to a full timeout. We'll be back in a moment. Third quarters have not been pleasant for the Portland Trail Blazers. They have had a horrible time of it, and they're down here 6-0 as we open up the third.
We talked to Rick Adelman about that after practice the other day, and he said, well, I'd rather think about the fourth quarters, games 2 and 4, where we played pretty well.
Good second effort by Kersey. Bulls 72, and the Blazers 56.
Marwood, backdoor, beautiful play set up by Chicago with Pippen delivering it to Michael Jordan on the back screen live. What Portland has to do now is Jerome and Terry Porter, I think, have to be more aggressive because Clyde Drexler with 4 fouls cannot be as aggressive as he wants to be on offense. So Terry Porter and Kersey are going to have to pick it up, and probably Duckworth.
Terry Porter has to pick it up offensively once again, not able to get into it. 0 for 3 from the field. He does have 7 assists. 3-second violation on Duckworth.
If you get up, overplay, and try and take away passing lanes, with a lot of players that works. With Michael Jordan, it does it because he moves so well without the ball. He'll back cut you, and then Pippen gets the good look at the rim with the size as a 6'7" or 6'8" passer.
Caught right to the fadeaway. Clyde Drexler playing with 4 fouls. Goes to the spin, and he draws the personal. Cartwright collecting his third.
Yes, and this is a very, very fortunate move right here for Drexler that the foul is called, because when he reverse dribbles and pulls back, Cartwright had rotated across and was waiting to try and pick up the offensive foul, which would have been his 5th foul.
And the look on Phil Jackson's face was, I don't know if that was a charge, because he wanted the charge to be that 5th foul on Clyde Drexler. So this is going to be interesting to see how Clyde plays it. If he plays it the same way, he can look for people to come up under him and try to take the offensive charge.
And that's the point that Magic was making a moment ago, that it almost turns you into a jump shooter, takes away your driving, slashing part of the game for fear of picking up the offensive foul.
Chicago leads by 16. Pippen got the step, and he threw the foul. It's on Duckworth, his 3rd, and Pippen will go to the line. Foul situation, 3 apiece on Duckworth and Kersey. Drexler with 4 for Chicago, 3 on Grant, 3 on Cartwright. Stacey King, who played briefly in the first half, picked up 4 fouls in 6 minutes. 18 for Pippen, who is 6 of 6 at the line.
When you see Chicago double-teaming Duckworth and you're wondering why he's having such a hard time making the pass out, when they are in, and I'm talking about Portland, when they are in their motion game or passing offense, it's one of the drawbacks to that type of offense that you don't always know where all your other players are supposed to be. Chicago, more of a set pattern team, knows exactly where everyone's supposed to be all the time.
And Duckworth stripped and fouled. Kevin Duckworth to the line. Michael Jordan picks up his third. Portland is 1 for 7 from the field in the third quarter. So Duckworth shooting a couple. He's 5 of 7 from the line.
Well, that time, what happened was that he had been getting double teamed the last 2 or 3 times, so he moved out of the post, and he got a chance to shoot the ball freely. He missed, but he followed up with the offensive rebound. So you can probably see that now. He'll probably be trying to move out of the post before he can avoid that double team.
Buck Williams able to keep it alive. Drexler had it knocked away, recovered by Duckworth. He's blocked by Grant. Here's Pippen on the open floor, giving it up to Paxson. And the Bulls with a 78-59 lead. 8.5 remaining in the third quarter. Duckworth. Bulls lead 78-61. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Magic Johnson, Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Portland. Kevin Duckworth with the box out. Buck Williams played by Michael Jordan. Able to spin in. That was not the shot he had in mind. Crowd looking for a foul on that last drive. Clock at 5. And that's a travel call on Jordan.
Well, that last time down, that was a great no call because Buck had spun and got himself out of control. So it was no foul there. Michael had played him straight up. And then coming back down, Michael was really anxious to take Clyde off the dribble, but travel first.
And Pippen is called for his third. And for the Bulls, their 4th team foul.
You know, there's a lot of complaining and a lot of going back and forth here with the referee. Both teams have got to leave the referees alone and concentrate on the game at hand here, at the task at hand.
And Cartwright. Call for the push. That's 4 on Cartwright, and it puts the Bulls over the limit. Now that could be a major factor. Portland with only 1 team foul.
Well, it's one of the toughest calls to me is post defense versus a big guy that's trying to back his way in, trying to hold you off with his free arm, and then you're kind of caught behind and you're trying to make a decision of how to come around. It's a very difficult call, and that's where the judgment and experience of the officials comes into play in that low post area. So difficult.
Duckworth, a 69% free throw shooter. The Bulls take a timeout with 7 minutes, 19 seconds left in the third. Welcome back to the Memorial Coliseum. For Portland, it's their final home game of the season. Back to Chicago for Game 6 at Chicago Stadium Sunday night. If there's a Game 7, it takes place in Chicago next Wednesday. The Bulls 78, the Blazers 62 as we come up on 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Jordan eluding Drexler. So Michael Jordan has 33 points, and the Bulls have an 18-point bulge.
Again, I'm sure the question is going to come up again about matchups concerning Clyde and Michael.
You just can't do it. This is a must-win for both teams, and you just can't have him on him with 4 fouls.
Well, Drexler remaining in that matchup with Jordan. Jake O'Donnell with the call away from the ball against Portland. It's on Buck Williams in second.
At the offensive end of the floor for Chicago, Jordan on a flash post. Clyde knows he's beaten, so he gambles and goes for the steal because he's late recovering, and then that's just a clear path to the basket for Michael.
Once again tonight, the Bulls jumped in front early. They led 10-2. They built the big lead in the first half. Here's Jordan, hammered by Duckworth. And it puts Michael Jordan back on the foul line.
Chicago realizes that Portland is trying to start out with a different player on Michael other than Clyde when they can get into it. So what they do is they're running their split series or their scissors series, which Portland switches that all the time. But when the switch takes place, either Clyde lines up back on him or Michael's wide open to then take somebody else off the dribble when eventually somebody must come out and play him.
Well, they switched Kersey on him that time, and Jerome was throwing him around before he got the ball. Michael got upset, said, "Give me that ball. I'm going to take you to the hole. You can't guard me." And you saw what happened. Ended up on the free throw line.
And you see the foul run down. Duckworth called for his fourth, replaced by Cliff Robinson, who played only 8 minutes in the first half, did not get into the offense. The Bulls with a 20-point lead. It's their biggest lead of the night.
Well, they're going to go right now, Marv, to their small lineup in terms of the Portland Trail Blazers, to their semi-small. They still have Buck in the game, and Danny is really in for their real small, but this is their semi-small.
Robinson, yes, here it comes. Cliff Robinson, who turned it around in Game 4 after the 2 of 11 in Game 3, hitting on only his first field goal attempt.
And if you can get it down low inside to start yourself off, it makes such a difference. A high percentage shot close to the basket, and now the three-point play for Robinson. And if you're Phil Jackson, your worry right now is that the complacency doesn't set in. You need that sharpness, the crispness to say, just because you have a lead of 15, 17 points in the game, don't let him get it back to 10 or 9. That's what they're saying in the other timeout. Just cut it back underneath, double did it.
Shot clock down to 6. Down to 3. Here's Jordan to the fadeaway. Rebounded by Drexler. Robinson. Double team, got it back out. Here's Porter. Drexler! Oh, what a slam by Clyde Drexler! The play of the night.
Yes, you talking about Sky. He skied from nowhere. I didn't see him coming and just slammed it home.
Traveling violation.
If you're coaching right now, you want to take a quick timeout and not let this team get on a roll. Use the timeout to quiet the crowd. The shot by Porter, a miss, but the perfect timing by Clyde to follow it.
And they got this crowd back into the game, and that's good for Portland because they thrive off this crowd.
Robinson. And Pippen has a 3-on-1. Jordan feeding Paxson. And he has to regroup. 4.5 remaining in the third. And Grant was fouled by Williams for Buck. That is his third. And team foul number 4 committed by Portland. Chicago with Grant, Williams, and Pippen up front. Backcourt of Paxson and Jordan. Three-point attempt by Paxson. Buck Williams for the rebound. Robinson with the pick for Porter. Rebounded by Williams. Porter, that's 2-point land. He can't buy one. He's 0 for 6 from the field. Here's Pippen. Terry Porter's offense in this series has been most disappointing. He had a terrific series against the Utah Jazz. Did not have a good shooting regular season. Picked it up in the playoffs, but has not done it offensively against the Bulls.
Well, the reason being because they've taken away 2 things that he scores off of. The transition game and the pick-and-roll play that Terry Porter loves. That time he caught the big man out on him and it went around him and got fouled.
Well, Terry Porter, during the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, averaged 23.5. And he really went to town with a 3-point shot. 7.5 assists over the first 3 rounds, the average. But you see the numbers, how they have gone down. And the stat line today showing 0 for 6, only 5 points. Although he's His ball distribution has been effective with 8 assists.
Well, as we've heard so many times throughout the course of the season, when you get numbers and then suddenly you face the Chicago Bulls defense, it's a little bit different type of defense. They just recover so quickly. They cover for one another so well. They don't give you a lot of easy scores when you play Chicago.
Chicago leading 84-69. 3:35 left in the third. Pressure by Portland. Ainge is back. Ainge guarding Pippen. A matchup that has not worked for Portland. Paxson is open. John Paxson with 12 points. And the Bulls lead 86-69.
I don't want to keep harping on this, but when the Bulls get double teamed, they always find the open man. When Portland gets double teamed, they cannot find the open man. They get a turnover or a bad pass.
Crowd reacts with Michael Jordan called for his 4th foul. And that will send Clyde Drexler to the line.
Michael trying to move the feet, makes Clyde turn, and it's the reach in for the swipe from behind where the foul is called.
3 of the 4 fouls committed by Jordan taking place here in the third quarter. Would you guess that discussion between Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan had to do with whether Michael feels he can stay out of foul trouble on pickup number 5?
But you know, it's so nice. You have the luxury of saying, okay, hold on, Scottie Pippen, you go over and play Drexler, and we'll take Michael and put him on Ainge or something like that.
Here's Jordan. Nice backdoor setup from Scott Williams.
Well, every time they run that same play, you get caught watching the ball, Michael backs door. And see, Horace Grant was the key to that. He made the excellent bounce pass.
Robinson. He'll go back to the line.
Horace Grant is 4th personal.
Pressure, flash post, backdoor. Jordan with the elevation on the jumper gets a great look at the rim.
Well, what makes their offense so dangerous is the fact that, and that's being Chicago, every big man on Chicago team can pass the ball. You can't run that offense unless your big man can pass the ball. And whether it's Williams, whether it's Cartwright, whether it's Grant, they can all pass the basketball.
Cliff Robinson did not get the playing time in the first half, so the numbers on the low side. Coming on here in the third, all 5 points in the third. Bulls lead 88-72. Portland looking for a stop right here. Shot clock down to 8. Grant lost it. Porter on the penetration, called for the charge. That is his second.
The difference between the Lakers, the Suns, and the Utah Jazz is the fact that when Portland made those teams turn it over, they were able to turn it into dunks or layups. Right here, they forced a turnover. They got on the other end of offensive foul because the Bulls are so quick to get from offense to defense. They made him make that offensive charge. Now, another thing here is that Portland has not been able to stop the Chicago Bulls in their half-court offense. I think what would help them if they went to a half-court trap. That way, Clyde can still be aggressive and save himself and not really be trying to guard Michael. He can be guarding an area when you're trapping and zone trapping the half-court.
Livingston is back, replacing Grant, who a moment ago picked up his 4th. Here's Jordan. Michael Jordan with 39 points. He's hit 13 of 20. Chicago's had the hot hand right throughout. They shot 62% from the field in the first half. Meanwhile, here in the third, Portland only 4 of 17. Pretty fast from Robinson to set up Williams. The Bulls 90 and the Blazers 74 with a minute and a half to go in the third. And a hold called on Robinson. So Portland now over the foul limit. Cliff Robinson called for his second. that will send Scott Williams to the line.
Magic, the half-court trap that you were mentioning, Portland did work on it in practice the other day, and Rick Adelman did talk about using it to try and help change the tempo or get Chicago out of running that half-court offense, which they execute so well. What it does is it tends to turn most teams into jump shooting teams where they spread the floor, pass it around a few times, and wind up with a corner jump shot. Then if they're not making their shots, it gives you a chance to run out and get some quick scores back.
Exactly. You have to now go to something else. Michael understands that Clyde's had 4 fouls, and he's taking it right at him.
And Michael Jordan will sit down. Bobby Hansen checking in. Jordan also with the 4 fouls. We're coming up on 1 minute to go in the third. The Bulls 92, the Blazers 74. Chicago has led right throughout. Robinson changed his mind. Nice feed. And Terry Porter converts his first field goal. 16-point Chicago lead. Hansen met by Ainge. Five of the 24. Out of 3. Pippen for 3. Blazers wanted a break, they could not, and then Pippen got a piece of it.
You think you're going to get a fast break against Chicago. Then when you take one dribble and look up, all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 red shirts back waiting for you. They do a wonderful job of transition defense, and part of it is because of the great floor balance that they have on offense. They always have people ready to cover the backcourt.
And that may be a 2-shot foul on the inbounds pass. Hugh Hollins with the call. And yes, it is a holding foul. And so the Blazers to the line.
If you're wondering what that call is all about, if the ball is out of bounds in the passer's hands and he has not started to pass the ball, has not released it, and the foul takes place on the floor, you're awarded 2 free throws.
Robinson, who has had his difficulties at the foul line, he told us after practice yesterday he's not going through the proper steps at the line. He's rushing, he's skipping certain steps, and as a result, he's not shooting the way he feels he should be at the free throw line.
Well, he mentions all the parts of the routine that he wants to have down, and then he says, I get into it and I leave one of the parts out, and that's what's hurting my free throw.
Because of repetition, he's not doing it. See, you got to, in free throws, you got to do that in practice. And once you get repetition over and over again, then your mechanics work. You don't have to think about whether you did one thing or another. And so you have to do it in practice.
Crowd wanted a backcourt violation on Hansen when he received that ball. Winding down in the third. Shot clock at 5. Pippen forced it. Air ball handled by Williams. A ball pass, though. Bad pass by Buck Williams. And it's tipped home by Livingston. That was a costly turnaround for Portland. They had a chance to break down court off the air ball. Instead, it ends up as a field goal for Chicago in the final seconds. Jordan with 39, Drexler with 25. After 3, it's the Bulls 94 and the Blazers 78. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. In Portland, where the Trailblazers have won 9 of 10 at home in the playoffs. They're 4 up, 5 down on the road during this playoff run. The Bulls outscoring the Blazers in the third, 28-24. That's an outstanding third quarter for Portland, 24 points.
24 is a high score for them in the third quarters.
Although they shot poorly in the third, 6 of 19. Chicago, 11 of 19 from the field, just under 60%. The Bulls with a 94-78 lead. Drexler finding Kersey, rejected by Livingston. Kersey again, won't count. It's an offensive foul. And that is number 4 on Jerome Kersey.
The foul was called because on the second shot attempt, the first one blocked by Livingston, Kersey just takes the shoulder basically and jumps into the defensive player who has established his position.
pressure by Portland. A.J. Armstrong is back. He and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Up front, Scott Williams, Cliff Levingston, Scottie Pippen. So a small front line for the Bulls. Here's Jordan from three. He's hit two. Scott Williams getting inside. Williams again, and this time brings it out.
You notice that Chicago really is spreading the floor. What they want is they want to get some of those backdoor easy scores or shots because Portland is overplaying.
Armstrong and Robinson rebounds. Bulls able to get back. Drexler, let's see what the call is. Blocking foul. A block on Williams.
Now, as we can see, Portland has that small unit in that was so effective in the fourth quarter of game 4. Here it is with Clyde on the breakaway. He gets to try to split between them. Well, Scott Williams was still not really set yet, and Clyde took a chance, and he saw that he wasn't set. That's why he went on in and drove it, tried to drive it to the basket. Now, what they're going to try to do here is Portland being its pressure all over the court, try to make Chicago hurry some shots and try to get out on the break and use their speed and quickness on them.
And what happened last game when they used this, Drexler and Kersey became the breakdown people off the dribble. Porter and Ainge wind up being the spot-up shooters.
Drexler for three. Oh, way off. And here comes Jordan. Pippen. And Pippen will go to the line. Pippen fouled, a hard foul by the Trailblazers. Terry Porter called for his third.
Transition game, and Clyde that time, after he shot it, wound up stepping up towards the ball. Therefore, not enough people in the backcourt to cover the transition game of Chicago.
Scottie Pippen to the line. He's 7 for 7. A very good-looking stat line. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists for Pippen.
You cannot shoot long jump shots on the Chicago Bulls unless you know they're going to go down in the basket, because what happens, they release on you, and that's what happened. They got caught, and he released him, and he went down and almost had a three-point play.
Bulls 95, Trailblazers 79, a minute 20 into the fourth. Robinson, good look from Ainge. The Bulls lead by 14. Ainge staying with Pippen. Livingston for Williams. Scott Williams bounced back in a big way. He'd been playing well right throughout the playoffs. Did not have a good one, though, on Wednesday. Only 1 rebound in 14 minutes. He's been averaging 8 rebounds a game in the series. Oh, the rejection by Jordan.
Beautiful team defense. Michael saw that he was open on the pick and roll. They ran a pick and roll with, and he saw that he was open. He slid over and just rejected that ball out of bounds. They converge on you so quick, Chicago. You think you got it, and then no, you don't have it.
Livingston trying to draw the foul. It will be Portland ball with 4 on the shot clock, and now Phil Jackson calls for time. 2 minutes have gone by in the fourth quarter. Tonight's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment takes us back 16 years to Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Boston against Phoenix. John Havlicek hit this shot in the second overtime. Celtics thought they had the game won, but Garfield Hurd hit a 22-foot buzzer beater, sending the game into a third overtime, and the Celtics behind JoJo White, 33 points, went on to win the NBA Finals. Longest game ever, 128-126. They did it in triple overtime to take a 3-2 lead. Celtics went on to win their 13th NBA title. They won it 4-2. Porter had to release it with the shot clock running down. Chicago with a 97-81 lead, 9:45 remaining in this fourth quarter. In recognition of that memorable moment, Miller Genuine Draft donates $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And the foul is called. Good fake by Jordan to pick up number 5 on Drexler.
A few moments back, we saw Michael Jordan coming to block this shot, and notice he comes inside, left hand out. That avoids the body contact. If he would have come with the right hand, he probably would have collided chest on back. At the other end now, ball fake, get Clyde in the air, and then put number 5 on him. Personal foul, number 5 on Clyde Drexler.
The reason he went for that fake, because all night Michael Jordan's jumper has been falling, so he had to go up and challenge him when he thought he had the jump shot, and that's when Michael fooled him and pulled it back.
Jordan, 12 for 14 from the line. And Michael has 41 points. Bulls lead 99-81. Jake O'Donnell with the call.
Scott Williams, Chicago.
It's on Scott Williams.
Second team foul.
Non-shooting foul. Here comes Horace Grant. And Scott Williams sits down. Pippen does not go for the fake. And Ainge with a force, but he'll take it. That was not the shot he had in mind, but he was committed in midair, and he had to fire one up. 99-83, Chicago. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. And this call away from the ball against Cliff Robinson, who got entangled with Horace Grant.
Well, sometimes you make your move down the lane and then you have to create. It's kind of a hope and a prayer, and when it turns out like this for Danny Ainge, your prayers are answered.
Pippen can't find anyone. And he's called for a 20-second timeout.
20-second timeout, Chicago.
Good defensive sequence by Portland. Game 5 of the best-of-7 NBA Final Series. The series tied at 2. Recapping Game 1, it was Michael Jordan with 39, a finals record 35 points in the first half. Chicago with a 122-89 victory. Game 2, Danny Ainge, the big man for Portland, in the overtime session, and Portland came from behind to beat Chicago in Chicago. That tied the series at 1. Game 3 here in Portland. Horace Grant had another solid performance, and Chicago won up 2 games to 1 with that 10-point victory. Game 4 here on Wednesday night. Portland came from behind to tie the series at 2. Solid all-around game for Jerome Kersey with 21 points, 10 in the fourth quarter as Rick Adelman went to the small lineup. There were indications that he would do the same for longer periods of time tonight, but that has not been the case.
No, it hasn't, because the game has dictated him not to be able to play that small unit.
And the foul against Jordan, and that is 5 on Michael Jordan. Offensive foul.
And the official saying Jordan used his arm to clear a path, the free arm, the right arm, to hold Ainge off, and thereby being allowed to catch the ball. Ainge liked it, Jordan didn't.
5 apiece on Jordan and Drexler. Jordan will sit down. Drexler remains on the floor. Bobby Hansen has come on, and he will guard Danny Ainge. Drexler with the show the ball move, met by King, and it's deflected by Grant. Robinson on the follow. Bulls lead 99-85, 8.5 remaining in the fourth.
If Portland is going to make their move, this is the time right here. Got Michael on the bench. They need to pressure, deny, get up all over the Chicago Bulls players and try to create some early offense.
Hansen with the follow, a wild shot by King, but Hansen able to convert. Here's Drexler, rebounded by Grant. The Bulls with a 16-point lead. They've been able to maintain this sizable advantage. Hansen and Armstrong now in the backcourt. Pippen, King, and Grant up front. Bulls with 6 on the shot clock. And a foul is called. It's on Ainge. That is his 3rd.
Such a difficult time for the foul to come because the shot clock was down to 6. They had played pretty good defense to that point. Ainge, feeling threatened in the low post, just uses both hands to throw him away.
There's King. Portland felt that it should have been a foul on Stacey King for ramming Cliff Robinson, but it's called the other way. Robinson called for his fourth.
Scottie Pippen just called the other 4 players in. Remember now, when Jordan's out, Pippen's always on the floor. If Pippen's out, Jordan's on the floor. Right now, I think Scottie Pippen probably just told everyone, look, you must execute the offense against this pressure. They've got us all over the place right now by forcing us out of where we want to be.
Timeout is called. We'll be right back. Well, it did rain earlier in the day here in Portland. It has cleared up as we approach 8:30 Pacific Coast time. And the Chicago Bulls have to be wary about what has taken place in the fourth quarter. On 2 occasions, games 2 and 4, the Blazers able to come from behind and come up with victories.
I don't think we have to remind anybody on the Chicago team about what has taken place in games 2 and 4. That's why they will now try to execute, use the clock, get high percentage shots, and gang rebound the basketball to try and keep Portland from getting second and third opportunities on the offensive boards.
Stacey King, a 75% free throw shooter. Both clubs shooting very well at the line tonight, in contrast to what has taken place in this series. Bulls lead 103-85, 7:40 remaining. Fourth quarter. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Magic Johnson, Ahmad Rashad from Portland. Drexler with the spin. Not a good shot. A wild reverse attempt by Clyde.
I think we also got to mention that the fact that their aggressive man, and the man who made those 2 runs possible, is sitting on the bench, and that's Jerome Kersey. See, he's not on the floor to initiate things or get out on the break and get those layups and dunks.
Porter. Terry Porter with only his second field goal. There's Kersey. 103-87. Chicago. Armstrong got the step and drew the foul. And Terry Porter's complaint is that it was a late call.
And the call is not on Terry Porter. Jake O'Donnell saying that the foul was on Duckworth, rotating over after he had turned the corner and passed Porter by. Duckworth comes over, rotates there, and then it's the body contact that knocks BJ to the floor.
And that's number 5 committed by Duckworth. So BJ Armstrong to the line for the first time tonight. He's an 81% foul shooter. Game 6 coming up Sunday night from Chicago. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern time here on NBC. 6 o'clock Central and 4 p.m. on the West Coast. Game 6, Portland and Chicago. If there is a Game 7, it will be played in Chicago next Wednesday night, June the 17th. Chicago leading 105-87. The Bulls trying to take a 3-2 lead in the series. Ainge was fouled. So Ainge to the line was hit by Hansen.
Right now, I think is the time where Portland, after this free throw, should try the half-court trap match or the three-quarter court press, because for a number of reasons. One, you're hoping to make some things happen, get some easy, quick scores. 2, you get a look at least what Chicago's going to do against it, because you may need it again in the next game. Take a shot at it, try to make something happen with some type of pressure. You cannot allow the 24-second clock to be used up each time down with Chicago executing their offense when you're this many points down.
I really can't understand why they haven't gone to either full court or half court, especially right now with this team on the floor that the Bulls have on the floor. You can really trap them without only 2 ball handlers and really no outside threat other than Hansen.
.625 remaining in the fourth. Pippen to the scoop. Duckworth was fouled. Grant tried to knock it away, and the foul call. And that is 5 on Horace Grant. And the 4th team foul for the Bulls. And here comes Bill Cartwright, replacing Stacy up front with a backdoor hands at Armstrong. The steal by Grant. And once again, the Trailblazers with an opportunity toss it away.
It's one of the things that Magic mentioned in the last game, the long diagonal passes. You stay away from those against the Chicago team. They cover too much ground. They get the passes you don't think they're going to get to.
Armstrong. So again, a mistake leads to a Chicago basket, and once again a 4-point swing, a potential 4-point swing costing the Blazers.
The long diagonal pass, you cannot throw a 35, 40-foot pass. Grant at 6'10" covers so much ground, he picks it off.
Jordan, who is checking back in, and Scottie Pippen doing major damage. Jordan 13 for 21. Look at Pippen, 22 points, 8 assists, along with 11 rebounds. 41 points for Michael Jordan, playing in his 91st playoff game, and he has scored 40 or more 24 times in playoff competition. In the NBA Final, the most points scored in a game, 61. Elgin Baylor did it for the LA Lakers in Boston back in April of 62. Rick Barry once had 55. Here's Porter. And the Bulls lead 107 to 91. Jordan, 43 for Michael Jordan. And the Bulls lead 109 to 91.
Well, the pressure that Portland is trying is a full court man-to-man pressure. When you face guard, they back cut you and then take advantage of the numbers.
Clyde Drexler, who has had a very quiet second half, now with 28 points in all.
Well, this pressure is like a run and jump type pressure. It's not really a real trapping zone trap. And so Chicago can beat this trap easy that they have on.
Jordan rebounded by Drexler. Both Drexler and Jordan playing with 5 fouls. Robinson returning to Porter. Nice play. But Michael Jordan did not want to pick up number 6.
Smart play, smart move.
You can see the skill level of Robinson. He's thrown 3 or 4 excellent passes.
Beautiful block by Drexler. Ainge for 3. Rebound, Drexler. The Bulls 109, Blazers 97. So Portland showing signs, and Chicago takes a timeout.
A moment ago at the offensive end for Portland, Robinson is posted up. When the feed pass comes in, he watches to see if the defensive man, in this case Jordan, turns his head. Then we're talking about moving without the basketball. Everything happens. Ball in the post, Jordan loses sight. Movement without the ball, give-and-go basketball.
And on the other end, Pippen thinks he has a layup, and Clyde comes out of nowhere and rejects him and leads to a fast break.
We're coming up on 4 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Portland has come within 12. Grant is fouled. Horace Grant will go to the foul line. Shaken up, lost his goggles in the process. Cliff Robinson charged with his 5th personal.
Chicago's mentality against the press, and the press has become more of a trapping type situation, is to attack. Get numbers, break it down, keep your people spread wide, and then once the decision's made, take it strong to the basket. They're not just trying to get it over half court and back it out now. They're going for the scores.
Grant, a 74% free throw shooter. Chicago with 3 timeouts remaining. Portland with 2 and a 20. The high point man of the game, Michael Jordan, with 43. Scottie Pippen has 22. Clyde Drexler with 30. But Drexler has not shot well in the second half. Jackson shaken up as he hit the deck. Porter for three. Now they change it to two. It's a two-pointer. Bulls lead 110-99. Chicago is led by as many as 20.
One of the other reasons why you like the press is when you make things happen, and another example of a backdoor almost there, instead the travel takes place. When you start pressing and good things happen, the crowd gets excited again.
Now this is what they should have been going to a little earlier. It's working for them right now, and here's an aggressive move by Ainge.
Ainge able to beat Jordan, who is playing very carefully, did not want to reach in and pick up number 6. It's now a 9-point Chicago lead. 12-3 run by Portland.
You got the bad matchup out here. Robinson trying to guard Paxson, but Paxson's not going to try and go by him.
Jordan. And he is clobbered. Michael Jordan will go to the line. He was fouled by Ainge.
Well, the path was there for Michael to go by Clyde. Clyde can't afford to pick up his 6th foul. Then it's a matter of the other players getting there in time to close down. They just get there too late.
You know, they just trapped him twice. They got turnovers 2 times in a row. Now, you know, if Clyde had 5 fouls, you got to run over and double team Michael Jordan, make him pass, and rotate over to the open guys. And they did not do that time.
Michael Jordan has missed his share of free throws in the 4th quarter. That could be fatigue setting in. For the game, he's 14 of 17 from the line. 10-point Chicago lead. 3 minutes remaining in the 4th. Ainge met by the trap. Able to find Kersey. Strong move. Rebounded by Williams. And he's fouled by Ainge.
That's about the 3rd or 4th shot that Portland has had right at the rim, where they've either tried to finger roll it or jump hook it, and it just hasn't gone down, and it's been such a critical thing for them. They sure like to have those 4 baskets back. The good drive, the concentration, but then the finger roll just doesn't take and bite, kicks off the rim.
Blazers over the limit. Scott Williams for the line. He's 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Only a 65% foul shooter. Bulls 31 of 37 from the line.
This is the reason why scouting reports are done. Because the fact that Danny Ainge saw that Scott Williams had the rebound, he ran over and intentionally fouled him because he knew that Scott Williams was not a great free throw shooter.
They'll take 2 for 1 the rest of this game, score 2, foul him, give up 1 at the free throw line if that's the way it works out.
Chicago 112, Portland 101, 2:45 to go in the 4th. And the call against Drexler. So he is fouled out. Number 6 for Drexler. 2nd time this series that he's fouled out. And he leaves with 30. Did not shoot well. 9 for 21. Rick Adelman looking for a timeout.
One of the toughest calls is the block charge call in basketball because the defensive man is on the move, the offensive man is on the move, and now you have to decide whether or not the defensive player has established his position. Is Pippen there before the body contact? It's such a close, hard call to make. Jake O'Donnell, one of the best making it.
Portland is down to 1 full timeout and 1:20 remaining.
Why officiating is so hard in the NBA? Because you don't get a chance to look at it 3 or 4 times. Almost a straight-on look at whether or not Pippen is there in the path of the dribble, or is he sliding into Drexler when the call takes place. Unfortunately, the officials have to make the call on the spur of the moment.
Well, it's always tough to isolate somebody on the side because what happens is that defensive player get a chance to slide in front of you. And even if he had a blown past Pippen, a lot of help would have came over and prevented him from going all the way.
Bulls lead 112, 101, 2:35 remaining in this 4th quarter. Clyde Drexler, a moment ago, fouling out. 4th time this season he's fouled out. 3 against Chicago. 2 of those 3 in this final series. Shot clock at 3. Grant. And it's rebounded by Kersey. And once again, a costly turnover committed by the Blazers.
Small things, they all add up at the end of games. A simple outlet pass between Ainge and Porter. Instead, the ball goes between both of them. And now another opportunity for Chicago to run time off the clock. The turnovers eventually wind up killing you. Blazers with 18-13. Turnover advantage here.
And it's also when the turnovers come, and it seems that the Blazers have been picking them up in the most inopportune moments. Jordan through the foul. So he'll go back to the line. Foul shots 18 and 19 coming up for Michael Jordan. This was not a good game for Clyde Drexler. The shot selection certainly could be questioned. He did not shoot well. Clyde 9 for 21. In foul trouble right throughout. He had 4 fouls in the first half, and Rick Adelman stayed with him.
Well, once he picked up that 3rd foul, he was so worried about Jake O'Donnell in terms of the way the game was being called and officiated that frustration set in, and that took away from his performance. You know, one thing you got to remember, Jake is the best official in the NBA. Now, if it be a 7-game, Jake always going to be doing 3 of those 7 games. So that means he's the top official. You cannot mess with him. Play ball. That's your mentality has to be.
Robert Pack, who has seen very little action on the floor for the first time tonight, goes right to the hoop. And the foul called on Pack. It's an offensive foul. Now that stat line that you saw a moment ago on Drexler, and someone who does not see the game sees it in the box score tomorrow morning, says, wow, 30 points, 10 rebounds. But if you saw the game, you realize that not a good one for Clyde. He's on a different level, and there are other expectations.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, it's more than just scoring that you have to do. You have to also get your teammates involved. You also have to be a leader in terms of when things were going bad. Hey, rally the guys, get them together, say, look, we got to quit worrying about officials. We got to quit throwing the ball away and doing the things of that nature. Just like Michael Jordan. You know, I knew Michael was going to come out and have a strong game because they had written in the paper so much about him playing golf that they said here in Portland that he wasn't taking the series in terms of the final series, this final series against Portland, serious enough. They thought that they were taking the Portland Trailblazers lightly, or he was taking the Portland Trailblazers lightly, and he came out to prove them all wrong tonight.
And he's pointed out that golf is his way of relaxing. A very similar situation that you see here with the Czar. He'll read comic books in his spare time, and some people have ways to relax.
Well, I know for me it was music, and I always have music to take my mind, take me away. Michael is golf. There's other guys have other things. Duckworth, his pets, and so on and on.
Cartoons, comic books for some.
The nice ones are the ones with the glasses that you 3D. You look at the 3D comic. Those are the fun ones.
Have you just discovered 3D? And at 27 remaining in this 4th quarter, Horace Grant has fouled out. And Bill Cartwright is back. Here's Robert Pack, the rookie from the University of Southern California. Signed as a free agent after a good showing at the Southern California Summer League. Played well for a portion of the season, but has not been getting the time here in the NBA final.
Well, you can't go to a rookie when you got all those veterans sitting on the bench that had playoff experience, and that's the reason why Robert Pack hasn't really gotten a chance to play in the series.
Bulls lead 115-102 with a minute 15 to go in the 4th. A 45-point game for Michael Jordan. And Pippen just did get it off, beating the 24-second buzzer. Aim and tipped home by Kersey. 117-104. For the Portland Trailblazers, it is their final appearance here at home. And the folks here not leaving. They will pay tribute to what has been, no matter what happens in Chicago. An exciting season for the Blazers, who have made it to the championship round for the second time. The last 3 years, they have the second best record in the NBA, actually tied for second with the Cleveland Cavaliers, a 57 victory season in the playoffs, beat the Lakers 3-1, knocked off the Suns 4-1, took Utah in 6. Now Jordan sits down and he leaves with 46 points.
DJ Armstrong, the shooter.
The all-time high in the NBA Finals, 61 by Elgin Baylor in April of 62. So Jordan with 46. Jordan's playoff high, not in the finals, was 63.
That's a lot of points there. I think the Boston Celtics and a lot of fans around the country won't forget that performance.
35 seconds to go. Chicago with a 119-104 lead. Danny Ainge, 14 for Ainge. So Sunday night in Chicago, the season will be on the line for the Trailblazers, with the Bulls up 3-2. Game 6 in the Windy City Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and that'll be 4 on the West Coast here on NBC. Paxson, final seconds, and the Bulls come away with a 119-106 victory to go up 3-2 in this best-of-7 NBA final. Michael Jordan, 14 for 23 from the field, 16 of 19 from the line for 46 points. And we'd like to take a moment to wish Magic well in his return to the court in Olympic competition. The training schedule beginning next week. So you're going to get right to it, I'm told. What, tomorrow morning at 9:30?
That's right to it. Be with the fellas tomorrow and back in LA. And I want to thank you, Marv, and Mike, and Steve Jones, and Dick Enberg, and also just everybody for just putting up with me. I'm gonna take a break for Game 6 and be with my baby and my wife, and also train. So I just have to say goodbye, you know. But it's been great. In the basketball world, I made a lot of good plays, but here I made a lot of bad plays. So I've been on the other side.
Wait a second. It's been great having you with us. And incidentally, if there are babysitting problems, I believe the Czar still gets $2 an hour. Is that and does housework too?
Well, will you come on and come on with me?
Whatever you need, you know that.
But I'm looking forward to the Tournament of Americas right here in Portland, matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, I think in 2 weeks. And I'm just looking forward to it, getting back on the basketball court. So it's going to be exciting for me.
All right, the Chicago Bulls defeat the Portland Trailblazers 119-106, 46 points for Michael Jordan. Join us Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Game 6, as the NBA Finals return to Chicago. Later tonight, following your late local news, it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and special guest Bill Cosby, followed by an all-new Late Night with David Letterman, and then Friday Night Videos. For Mike Fratello, Magic Johnson, Ahmad Rashad, I'm Marv Albert. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.